And thinking about, if everything's a crisis, nothing is a crisis. There are certain people that I feel like, and we probably could do a study on that. I'm sure we could do a study on this, but there are certain people who it seems that that's whether by their natural inclination or because they get some kind of high off of it or whatever it may be, they seem to perpetuate that, right? They're the boy who cries wolf almost. It seems like to me, and when people are that type of person, eventually it attenuates. That is, it decreases our response to it, so that when an actual crisis does come up, nobody's prepared for it.
Well, most of the people that I interact with are very highly, functional isn't the right term, but they're very proactive. They've always, we were talking before we came on air about what we had been doing over the holidays, and both of us have stayed, very, very busy in that time period. I think it's just the nature of our personalities. I suspect it's the nature of the personalities that listen to your podcast, and that the analogy that I use is you talk to somebody that is crisis focused and says, I'm really busy doing something important. I mean, look how important it is. Look at this crisis that I'm dealing with. I have to continue to do this important work. Well, as you mature within the organization, the value of the organization is, yes, its ability to respond to crisis, but how do we prevent crisis? Because crises are very disruptive to the organization. So it's that challenge of looking beyond that. I mentioned the first question that organizations should ask is why. Maybe not the crisis responders should be asking why, although I keep going back to my son. When they're responding to a fire call, they're asking themselves in the fire truck as they're driving to the scene, what failed? Why are we responding? What could we have done to prevent this? Either traffic design or traffic signals or fire prevention, whatever it may be done. So the first question is why. And then the how. What are all the different hows that we could apply to correct this? In the medical field, it may be prenatal care, if that's where the challenges are. It's more education for families and in the process of caring for an unborn and eventually a newborn, and then it continues on up the chain. And there's multiple hows that you can solve the problem. We could go into more detail on that, but probably beyond the scope of this podcast. And then the last thing is, okay, given all those hows, we could do it with education. We could do it with more funding. We could do it with investment in more modern equipment. We could do it by increasing the size of the hospital. We could team with other hospitals. These are all hows. And then eventually, of all those hows, you pick the what that you're going to do. We're going to invest some money in this equipment. We're going to team with this other hospital that is very highly performing in this area. But in crisis, you go right to the what. You have to. What do we have to do to save people? What do we have to do to save property? And you're not focused on those hows. How could we solve this problem more broadly than just in the ecosystem that we're focused on as a company? And then the most important question is the why. And once you've responded to a crisis, rarely do we go back and do the forensics of saying, how else could we have taken care of this problem? And why did the problem initially occur?